Today we're going to be doing a post-platinum review for Stellar Blade on the PlayStation 5. Now, if you are new to the channel here, a post-platinum review is just basically me talking about a game, its trophy list, so all the various trophies that you can actually go ahead and earn in that game. And more specifically, we're going to be talking about the game's Platinum Trophy. Now, I've already done several post-platinum review videos on this channel before, so if you do have any interest in checking out those other videos, I will leave a link to the playlist down below. But today we're going to be focusing specifically on Stellar Blade. Now, I know there's a lot of talk about this game on the internet, both good and bad. People look at this game and they look at the lead character design and they think to themselves,
holy shit, I'm gonna come.
Yeah, that's not at all what we're talking about today. Mainly just wanted to say this is an incredible action game, like a really solidly constructed action game that has a pretty attainable platinum that offers a good amount of challenge, and it's also a lot of fun. Now, Stellar Blade comes to us from the Korean development studio Shift Up, and Shift Up, they've had plenty of experience working in the mobile development sector of the game space, but this is their very first AAA console game. But moving over to the actual game itself, right? So we talked a little bit about the studio itself. Let's talk about Stellar Blade. What kind of an experience is it? What is the story like? What's the gameplay like? I'm not the first person on the internet, first person in the world to sort of mention this, but the story mode is not the game's strong suit. It's serviceable enough. I mean, there's a handful of solid moments and set pieces, especially towards the end of the game. There's some incredible set pieces in there. The gameplay is king here. The gameplay, the visuals, and the music. The music especially is so good, and I think those aspects alone make the game worth checking out, giving it a shot. Stellar Blade is definitely one of those games that grew on me the more that I played it. I started to kind of appreciate the game more and more as time went on. And initially, I thought the game had a very weird blending of these different styles and tones, and it was one of those things where I loved the demo. The demo was what drew me in initially. I played that first hour of gameplay on Eidos 7, and I fell in love with the game. I thought it was surprisingly good and better than I thought it was going to be for sure. But once I actually bought the full game and I picked up right where I left off from the demo, I was like, okay, cool, things are moving along. It's good. I'm not really like super into the game just yet, but I'll keep playing and maybe things will change. Maybe the first 2 or 3, even 4 hours, the game didn't really click with me 100%. I still was enjoying it. Like, the moment-to-moment gameplay was pretty enjoyable. But it really was maybe around the halfway point of the game where you started buying new skills with your skill points that you unlock by just doing basic combat. That's when the game really started to open up, and that's when things started to click with me. So overall, if I had to sum up my experience with Stellar Blade, it excels in the areas that it needed to, and there are plenty of issues that I had with the game when it comes to its story. Its forced platforming sections that I didn't really love too much, but the overall exploration that you can have in the world, the combat, the visual, the actual look of the game, and the music are all reasons why you should totally check out Stellar Blade if you've had any hesitations or reservations about getting into the game in the first place. But now let's actually take a look at the trophy list for Stellar Blade, and this will hopefully give you a better understanding of what the Stellar Blade Platinum would require out of you, and whether or not maybe you'd want to even go for the Stellar Blade Platinum. All right, everybody, so once again, we are here on PSN Profiles taking a look at Stellar Blade's trophy list, and that trophy list consists of 27 bronze, 12 silver, 3 gold, and 1 platinum trophy for a total of 43 trophies overall, so a little bit less than maybe what you're used to seeing. I feel like 51 is kind of the average. But just like all the other post-platinum review videos that we do on this channel, we're just going to go through each of the trophies, or most of the trophies, one at a time, and kind of I'll give you an idea of what you can expect out of that particular trophy. This is not really a trophy guide video. There are plenty other resources online for those sorts of videos, but today we're really just focusing in on what do the trophies look like on Stellar Blade's trophy list, and what do I recommend kind of doing to get those trophies, and how did I feel getting the trophies, right? Like, did I enjoy the overall process of getting all the trophies on the trophy list and the platinum trophy? That's mainly what this kind of serves the function as. Well, let's see, starting here first, we've got camp preparation. So this is when we'll kind of skip some of these because these are all story related, automatic unlocks. So camp preparation, Abaddon, Corruptor, Gigas, Brute, all of these trophies that you're seeing right here, pretty much. And by the way, there are spoilers in case you couldn't guess that, but yeah, we're looking at all of the story-related trophies right now. So pretty much everything up until, I guess, Raven, the Raven trophy. those are all automatic story unlocks. And so not really much to say there. Those are pretty straightforward. Just play through the entirety of the story mode and you will get these trophies by default. However, I did want to focus in on these 3 gold trophies here. We've got Return to Colony, Cost of Lost Memories, and Making New Memories. So these all are tied to the various endings of the game. Yes, there are multiple endings to Stellar Blade, which I didn't realize when I first was playing the game. I thought that was pretty neat to kind of uncover. I'll make one suggestion on how to get the most out of your playthroughs with this game. I would recommend you do 2 playthroughs of Stellar Blade. The first playthrough you can do on normal. I would recommend it. It's not super challenging of a game. It is difficult, but I feel like it's pretty accessible. Do as much as you physically can on the first playthrough. Do as many of the side quests as you can, collect as many of the notes and memories and logs, journal logs, things like that. The reason being because there are 2 trophies here, Cost of Lost Memories and Making New Memories. And Making New Memories is related to, you meet one character in the game called Lily, and when you first bring her into your party, there's a certain moment in the story where you'll see this like progress bar pop up with Lily's character profile icon and then a progress bar. So every time you pick up notes, every time you find hidden documents, every time you complete certain side quests, the progress bar increasing until it gets to 100%. And then at which point, near the end of the game, Lily, if you have 100% completion of that progress bar, Lily will ask you to go to this hidden location called Eidos 9. And that's how you'll know that, hey, I will be able to get the Making New Memories trophy. And then when you get to the ending, you're given 2 choices. One choice, which is sort of like the bad ending. I guess there's a couple bad endings actually, but one choice where you have to accept an offer from some character at the end or decline an offer. If you accept the offer for this character, then you do like a special boss fight, and then ultimately it leads to getting this Making New Memories trophy here. In order to get like maybe multiple trophies in one playthrough, what you can do is right before the final boss encounter, you can back up your save to the cloud, or you can back up your save to a USB thumb drive, whatever you want to do. And instead of choosing the accept offer ending, you would then decline the offer for the boss in order to get the Return to Colony trophy. So in theory, one playthrough, quote unquote, you could get 2 trophies, Return to Colony, Making New Memories, or I should say 2 endings. Now that's just for one ending, right? To get this Cost of Lost Memories though, the way that you do that actually is you kind of do the opposite of what you did on your first playthrough and your second playthrough, which is do not collect any collectibles, do not do side content, basically do not max out that progress bar for Lily. Get it to, make sure it's not 100%, because naturally by playing the story, it actually goes up in percentage just through story events. I think automatically it goes up to around 50 to 60% without doing any extra side content. And so if you're doing something like Cost of Lost Memories on your second playthrough, it makes the second playthrough a lot faster. These 3 trophies are not too hard at all. It's basically just, get to the ending, have certain criteria met, and then reload your save or reload your checkpoint and kind of repeat the same process over and over again. So not too hard. This other trophy, Can Collector, this is a collectibles-based trophy, which actually they're not that hard to find in the environment if you are having fun with the exploration, if you are just digging into that part of the game, because I personally enjoyed poking around the different environments, seeing what I could vault over, what things I could climb to get to hidden areas. It's pretty doable. And if there's there are upgrades in this game. You can upgrade your character's abilities, or you can upgrade your little drone companion that follows you around. If you upgrade one part of the upgrade branch for the drone, there's actually like one branch that helps improve the scanner. If you max out that tree or that like specific area of the upgrade path for the drone, there's a final unlock for the drone that allows you to detect cans when they're nearby. So I would just recommend, upgrade that part of the drone's upgrade branch as soon as you can, because it makes it a lot easier to find the cans. There are a handful that are pretty hidden, they're somewhat well, but overall I think I found like 37 of them just playing the game, just doing as much of the side content as well. And if you get all the cans, you actually get a nanosuit, which is this nanosuit collector trophy here. So you just need 30 of the nanosuits. But fun fact, there are I think like 75 suits. So between your first playthrough and your New Game Plus playthrough, all of your suits carry over. So I think by the time I'd done both my playthroughs, I had about 68 suits or something like that. So you will get this nanosuit collector very easily, but just know that it ties into this can collector trophy as well, because once you collect all the cans, you get this like lacy, like lingerie suit or whatever. The next one here is Records Collector. This is just collecting 200 databank entries. So that's a combination of memory sticks, documents, passcodes, all these things here. So this one's pretty easy as well. You'll kind of, there's so many more than just 200 databank entries. You can actually buy databank entries from vendors. And actually, I wanted to make that note here for this nanosuit collector. There's a combination of nanosuits that you can buy from vendors. There's a combination of nanosuits you can find in the environments, and there's also a handful for just getting collectibles. So I just want to make that quick note on this one. But the records collector one here, this one is just, again, do as much of the side content as possible, explore the environments, collect databank entries. I will say the records in this game are pretty generic. Like, they're not anything new that you wouldn't have seen from something like, any other post-apocalyptic type game. But, having said that, there are some good ones, some good nuggets nested in there. So I won't discredit those that are in the game. But 200 is it's not very much, to be honest. You'll find several hundred, I think, just kind of naturally playing through the game. Okay, next up here is the Lonely Fisherman. This is catch 20 different or caught 20 different fish. And there are 25 fish in the game, so just want to make that quick note. And if you catch all 25 fish, you then get a nanosuit, which kind of feeds into this nanosuit collector trophy, right? But the Lonely Fisherman trophy here, there are 25 fish, and you can only really fish in the game towards the latter half of the game. You'll go into this area called the Great Desert, and you'll meet an NPC that kind of teaches you how to fish. And it's really fun, but it's not super accessible because you have to press your, I think it's the square button pretty repetitively over and over again. Then you have to jerk your analog stick in one direction or the other to fight against the fish. While it's pretty fun, it's not super accessible, but thankfully there are accessibility options in the main menu. And in the pause menu as well. So if you're struggling with the fishing minigame, just go into your, go pause the game, go into I believe it's the accessibilities section. At the very, very bottom should be the option to change how the fishing minigame works. You don't have to press the square button a ton of times, you just have to hold it. And then you also have to hold your R2 trigger instead of having to sort of naturally find the perfect spot to reel the fish in. So it makes it a little bit easier overall, and it makes the trophy a lot easier too, right? And there are several locations in different environments to fish. There's one in the Great Desert, there's two in the Wastelands, there's, I believe, one on Eidos 9, and I'm blanking on the other one, but there are several. And Eidos 9, again, is only available if you're going for that, true ending of the game, the one where you collect all the data. So there's one section of, there's one fishing spot that may be unavailable to you, but that, that's where I caught some of my bigger catches and kind of got the trophy ultimately. So just make a note on that again. Just make sure you're kind of going and getting all these locations. And for the Eidos 9 fishing point specifically, it's near the very end of the level. So you'll have to go through the entire level again to get to that fishing point, just as a note. But it's not too crazy. If you make the accessibility changes, it's actually pretty fun. And the biggest thing with this trophy is just kind of collect as much of the fish data as you can, which you can buy from the fishing vendor in the Great Wastelands, or the Great Desert, I should say. And I think there's there's also a fishing point in Zion. That was the other one I was missing. There's a fishing point in Zion, which is pretty much the little pathway between Zion and the Wasteland. So that was the other one. So there's 5 fishing points in total, but not too hard to get this trophy at all. Just make that note. If you do need some help with the fishing minigame, there are methods to kind of help with that. Okay, next one here is Box Hunter. I'm not going to go into too much detail here. Just open as many boxes as you can. And again, if you're doing all the side content, doing your exploration trophies, you're going to get this no problem at all. So really not too much to go on here. However, I did want to go onto this Naytiba Researcher, which is get all information on Naytibas. This one's important because this again ties into all the side content. There's certain boss fights that only happen through side content. There's only a handful of boss fights, but still, there's one boss fight that happens specifically through a side mission for one of the NPC characters in Zion, and that factors into this 0 out of 67. And also, depending on which ending you pick, or depending on which choice you pick at the final boss, then you either fight a Naytiba or this mech essentially. So again, these are all spoilers, right? Because we're going through the actual trophies here, but this will come naturally if you're doing all the side content, and depending on which endings you choose on both of your, your first playthrough and your second playthrough, you'll get this within your first playthrough though, especially if you choose to decline the offer for the final boss. So not too much to really say here. Same thing with Meticulous Explorer here for activating all the camps. This one, you may be missing several of them. I was missing about 4, I think. But one thing to note is the last section of the game, you get 2 camps. Right before the final set of boss fights that you encounter in the game, you'll probably have 87 out of 89 if you go and look at the trophy progression. I had about 87 out of 89, and then at the end of the game, there's 2 camps. There's one in like the wasteland area, and then there's one in this nest location. So there's 2. So by the end of the game, don't worry if you're about to go to the final boss and you're like, I only have 87, that's fine. You're supposed to have 87 because you'll have 2 that you get at the very end. So if you're having trouble finding the other camps, IGN has a great guide that actually shows you all of the camp locations on the map. And I would just recommend kind of looking at that to see which ones you were missing. For me, I was missing from the Great Desert. I think I was missing like 2 and then 3 in the Wasteland location. Okay, next here is Perfect Exospine. Now, Exospines are things that you just kind of pick up playing the game. You also get Exospines on New Game Plus, so you really won't have any difficulties getting this trophy, especially when you go into your New Game Plus playthrough, because in the first playthrough, you'll get all the Mark 1 Exospines, but in your New Game Plus playthrough, you'll get like the Mark 2 Exospines. So I think by the time I finished, I had about 20 Exospines or something like that, or 19. I think across both of your playthroughs, you'll be able to get this, but even just with maxing out the Exospines, I think I was at 9 of 10 on my first playthrough. And the way that you max these out is just by collecting more resources, which you get through exploration, opening up crates, and things like that. Next here is Perfect Blood Edge, and I'm going to just go through Perfect Blood Edge, Perfect Rechargeable Tumbler, and we'll just kind of go through all these enhancement-based trophies. So Blood Edge is your main weapon, and the way that you sort of upgrade the weapon is every time you beat a boss, you get a sort of a weapon core, and you use that weapon core at camps to upgrade your weapon. Now, there are other ways that you can do this too. If you do side content or if you do exploration, you might find broken weapon cores, and what you can do with those broken weapon cores is you can trade 2 of them in to Digger, who's one of the NPC characters that you talk to early on in the game. If you trade in those 2 broken weapon cores, he can give you 1 whole functional weapon core that you can use to upgrade your Blood Edge. But again, this carries over into New Game Plus, so I think by the time I was done with New Game Plus, I was at level like 19 or 18 with Blood Edge, something like that. So you will get this very easily. And on your first playthrough, you'll probably get like 14 out of 15 or 13 out of 15. So not too much really required there. And when it comes to the Tumbler as well, Tumbler's a little different. You can still do these upgrades at the camp. This is for how many health potion charges you can have, sort of like Estus flasks, right? But the way that you get this Tumbler maxed out is there are these little robots in the environment that you have to find. And once you find them, you have to beat them up, and then they might drop an upgrade module for your Tumbler. For me, I had about 4 out of the 5 on my first playthrough, and then I easily got the 5th upgrade, maybe, 2 hours into my second playthrough. So not too hard here as well. And the same goes for HP to its max and beta energy to its max. So again, more of these will kind of carry over into your second playthrough. And, there's really not much to say here. It's just, again, do the exploration, do as much of the side content as you can, and these 2 will kind of come naturally as well. Now, next here is the Thorough Technician. I don't know why I couldn't say that, where you just have to learn all the skills. Again, do a lot of the side content. I hate to be redundant, but do all the side content, not too crazy. And you'll get this on your second playthrough at least. I didn't feel like grinding, and I wanted to just start the second playthrough and kind of have fun, finding the new items and things like that. So this is something you'll more than likely get on your second playthrough. And fun fact, there are trophies for New Game Plus, and one of them is to get all of the skills unlocked in the New Game Plus options for like the beta skills and things like that. So definitely would recommend not worrying about this one either. Just play the game and then worry about it on your cleanup for the second playthrough. Moving on here to Beyond Fate, which is completed Enya and Sue's story. This is not that difficult. You just have to make sure you do not miss doing the missions as soon as they come up, because the problem is you'll get locked out of this trophy if you do not do the missions as soon as they come up and before the points of no return. So for Enya and Sue's story, basically it's 3 missions. One of them you should do, or one of them that becomes available, I should say, after going to Altesse Levoire, I think is what it's called, Levoire, whatever. And basically when you can start freely exploring Zion, that's when you'll be able to do this specific first mission for them. The second mission is available after acquiring the second hyperdrive in the game. And you should do that mission as soon as you get it. It's really not that hard of a mission, and you should do it before you kind of do anything else, to be honest. And then the third mission is only available after you complete the other missions, right? And then you travel to the Great Desert location, which is one of the last few locations in the main game. The other note with this Beyond Fate trophy is actually it's tied to this Beep trophy as well, because the only way that you can get the third and final mission for the Beyond Fate storyline is if you complete Digger's mission as well. And Digger's mission, you can kind of complete it as soon as you get it. Again, just do as much of the content as you can, and you'll naturally get all these unlocks to happen. But one thing to note is if you're having trouble getting the third mission for Enya and Sue's story, it's probably because you haven't completed Digger's second mission, which we'll talk about in just a second. But the actual like sisterly love trophy here, this one's a lot easier because you get this you get the first mission for Kaya's story automatically when you go and meet her at the at Sister's Junk where she kind of sells you stuff. It's part of the main story. You'll get the mission, no problem. So do that as quickly as you can, so that way you get the second mission, no problem. And the second mission comes after you defeat the Alpha Naytiba in Matrix 11. Again, just part of the natural story progression here, but make sure you do Kaya's. I think Kaya's was the first one that I was able to do successfully, and I believe her final mission takes place in the Great Desert, or the Great Desert. So when you kind of have to do Digger's final mission, which we'll talk about in just a second, Kaya's will kind of already be done at that point. Which then brings us to Beep, which is complete Digger's story. So Digger's story is basically when you meet him for the first time in the Wasteland, he'll give you a mission, do that mission as soon as you can, and then after that, he'll give you a second mission, which is available obviously after you beat the previous or complete the previous side quest. And the other thing too, for this second mission to unlock, you have to, I believe, have level 2 affinity with him at his shop, which you get by just buying glasses, just various items from the shop. So you'll have to have that affinity at level 2 in order to get the second mission to become available. And then once that second mission becomes available, you'll have to kind of travel around to different locations, the final location being the Great Desert. And then once you complete that mission, then the Beyond Fate trophy can then give you the last mission for that. So everything's tightly integrated. I would just recommend doing the content right as it comes up, but it's not too hard to kind of get these trophies at all. It's just that you have to be cognizant of doing everything when you're presented with it, if possible. If it's locked out or there's a certain location you have to go to first, then obviously you can't do it. Next are just some more combat-based trophies for perfect dodging, perfect parrying, 50 enemies by execution, 100 enemies by beta skills. So all of these are all pretty much just combat-related trophies here. There's not too much that really can be said here, especially, something like defeated 1,500 enemies, which you'll probably get on your second playthrough, at least I did. These are all just, again, play the story, play the game, do all the content within the side missions and, the optional conversations, things like that. And you'll naturally kind of rack up some of these trophies. Now, I will say something like the perfect parry and the perfect dodge. If you're not really good at dodging or parrying on time, there are skills that you can actually unlock in your skill tree to help you perform those tasks a little bit easier. Again, you have to get all the skills anyway for the unlock all the skills trophy, but they will definitely help you out with these two trophies as well if you struggle with parrying and dodging in these types of games. But mostly here, right, it's just kind of defeating enemies, certain number of enemies with certain skills, or burst skills or tacky mode, right? All these different things here. Again, if you're just playing the game, you'll get these naturally. And it's not too hard, to be honest. It's pretty fun overall, but it's not too challenging or too difficult, to be honest. But yeah, everybody, this is going to do it for the Stellar Blade Platinum Trophy. Overall, the trophy list here, what did I think of Stellar Blade and the Platinum Trophy experience? Overall, really fun. I really enjoyed it. I think in terms of difficulty, it sits somewhere in the 5 out of 10 range. It's not too hard, it's not too easy. Well, it's kind of easy in certain parts if you're, if you enjoy the Souls-like games, the Soulsborne games. It's not too difficult, but again, I think the overall trophy list, it sits in the middle for me. It's a lot easier than something like Bayonetta's trophy list. It's harder than something like the Nier Automata trophy list. So for me, again, it kind of sits in the middle of overall difficulty. But the enjoyment overall for me was very high. I gave this an 8 out of 10 in terms of the experience of going for the Platinum Trophy. I really had a fun time getting the Platinum. And, I felt like I got more out of the game by doing the 100% completion, because I really got to see a lot of things I probably would have missed if I just did straight story progression, right? But overall, I would recommend going for the Platinum Trophy for Stellar Blade. If you've had any reservations on the game, I would recommend checking out the game as well. I think it's pretty fun. And again, if you are maybe considering going for the Platinum Trophy, yeah, I would recommend it. I don't think it requires too much out of the player, and anything that you miss on your first playthrough, you can clean up on your New Game Plus playthrough, because you need 2 playthroughs anyway, really. Alrighty, but thanks again, guys, for sticking around to the very end of the video, and once again, thank you all for the support that you have been showing on this channel. I really, really appreciate all of you, and until next time, I'll see you guys on the next video.